gamer dude!
Aha!
So I've been noticing a lot of discourse over the past year or two about this whole thing about IDW being canon to the games, and how much back and forth we get between fans about it. Is it good that's canon, or is it bad that's canon? Again, I've seen many back and forth that I decided to ask you guys what your takes are on it. And after reading a lot of your replies, I jotted down basically the biggest takeaways or concerns / critiques, but also the praises. So firstly, one issue that is a problem that a lot of fans have is the whole time frame and timing of the comics taking place. As we all know, all the comics take place literally after Sonic Forces and way before Sonic Frontiers. So all the arts take place in between their games. We just don't know the exact time. And until we get a comic that does a time skip, or something that leads to Frontiers, none of the stories have happened after Frontiers, which explains why Sage hasn't appeared yet. Some don't mind this, as this just shows what the characters are up to and what adventures they do in between games. And that is true. It is cool to see what antics and stories the heroes and villains are up to in between games. However, many again draw criticism towards this, as again, it is hard to tell when the comics will lead up to Frontiers, because so far, none of them have led up to or even hinted at the story of Sonic and his friends going to Starfall Islands. So when will it occur? It's hard to say right now. The mainline comics don't really lead up to anything. Remember what I said? It's like things never happened after the arc is over? That's because they would need ways to make sure they're implemented in a future title. Nothing has led up to anything in the mainline games yet. Unless you count Fane's comic, but that came out after Superstars came out. So again, they haven't led up to anything. Another thing about this issue that people bring up is, due to the comics happening way before Frontiers, nothing major happens to the Gamecast really. What I mean is, they have to make sure not to do anything to them. Like, give them a new power, or a new look, or do literally anything to them, because then the writing staff and the game developers have to implement that in a future game. Like, if Sonic has a new power, he has to use that in a new game because it was introduced in the comics. But again, since Frontiers happened, they need to make sure not to do anything extreme to the Gamecast that will reflect on future stories. They need to make sure not to do anything extreme to the Gamecast that will reflect on future games. Nothing really matters with the stories kinda, cause nothing big is gonna happen to the Gamecast unless they actually do implement that into a future title. But we didn't get anything new in Frontiers that was, featured in the comics. Unless you count the IDW character name drops. Speaking of, this is another issue that people bring up, and I also do question this as well. Due to the fact that the IDW comics are canon to the games, how would they introduce all the new characters that the comics have brought up into the mainline games or even spin-off titles? As I stated before in a previous video, not everyone reads the comic books or plays the mobile games. They will be confused as to who these people are and wonder how Sonic and the gang know them. Even if they use this as a marketing technique to get fans to read the comics, again, not everyone reads comics. I have friends and family who have zero idea who these people are. They only play the games. They don't read the comics. I have to tell them who these people are. No joke, I'm serious, I literally did. How will they make us fans know them? And no, there is absolutely zero way they'd adapt the comic stories into a game. Too much time and money, especially if we already know the story about that and it's resolved already. Next is limitations, as because the comics are canon to the games, the staff had to be careful with how they introduce new locations and have to always reuse locations that we've come to know already. They also have to be careful with characters, as we can't do certain things with them without cutting away at their character portrayal in the games. Speaking of characters, fans also don't like with how, because some of the characters are written the way they are in IDW, it means that that's their character in the games, and not the separate people. You guys know what I'm talking about. The writing of Sonic and Shadow. Fitting. Anyway, yeah. Because of the many issues fans have with how they're written, it's like them shaming how they were in past titles, as they were not like this. And again, speaking of characters, with the tightness and mandates, not a lot of characters get to be explored in a big way. Like I told you about not exploring Silver's future or Blaze's world a lot, keeping the status quo. And of course, there's the mandates, but I'm not gonna get into that. Next is original stories. And no, I'm not saying that none of the stories that we've had aren't original. They obviously are. But because they are so tied to the games and not free from it while just taking elements from the games, they can't do anything big original story like finding a new civilization of people. And I don't mean a town like Tangle's hometown. I mean like stories that happened in Archie, and there were a lot of them. Or things that were tied to certain lore of the past games, like a big arc about the Master Emerald and the Echidnas, or something about the Babylon Road's history. So yeah, they can't do anything big like that so far. Next is something that fans are wondering about, and that's humans. Because since the games are canon, where are the humans? I think it was stated by Ian Flynn that they're elsewhere during many of the events in IDW, but that really confuses me because where are they? What was GUN up to during the Metal Virus? And no, they're not gone, as we know they are here, thanks to Dark Beginning showing us humans again, and GUN. And Shadow Generations further reinstates that humans were there all along with Sonic's companions. So, yeah, they haven't shown up at all. When will that change? Since the games and the comics are canon, why haven't they shown up? Now, I touched on a lot of the negatives. I did briefly touch upon positives, like showing what the characters are up to in between games. So, one big thing that fans like about it being canon is because of the IDW cast. With them being canon, it increases their chances to appear in a future game title, fully voiced and such. We already got taste of them in the mobile games, and Tangle's name being name-dropped in Frontiers, and it has been said that the possibility of them appearing in future mainline titles is very likely. There's probably a lot that I missed because there were a bunch of comments. So if I missed any, say what you dislike about IDW being canon down in the comments of this video, as well as what praises you have for it being canon. Thanks for watching.